welcome. I want to talk about the story of Jonah today and look at it with some analysis. Is essentially, how does the story of Jonah apply to all of us in our life today? What are the timeless truths, and what can we glean from it as really a story of the pursuit of purpose, the pursuit of destiny, and what comes up along the way, the challenges that arise, both external and internal, and how Jonah goes through the journey, the process of stepping into his calling and the pursuit of it, and everything that unfolds. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this, diving into this story with you. I've got a few slides, but not much, so don't pay too much attention. Pay attention to what we're talking about. But yeah, so let's dive in. And first of all, just want to open up with, right, is the story true? And it's kind of a funny. Here's the thing about truth, right? Or let's look at the definition. What's your definition of truth? Is the story of Jonah a true story? Well, are we talking about factually correct? Is it factually correct? We don't know. What is factually correct, right? But one thing that is true is that it is timeless truth, as in it applies to your life today. And so in that sense, it is true. So we're going to glean the truths from it that are eternally true, regardless of factual correctness, what was the fish, the whale, whatever. Let's look at what are the eternal truths of the story that I believe to be true. But ultimately, we're looking at how does it apply to you? What is the internal truth of it, and how does it affect your life? So let's dive in, right? So Jonah, at the beginning of the story, right? Jonah is a prophet. So he has a gift. He has talents that are of use to his fellow man, right? He has this prophetic ability and gift. And so at this beginning of the story, Jonah is called to go to the city of Nineveh, because the city of Nineveh was descending into chaos. So to Jonah, it represented everything that was reprehensible to him. It was a place that brought about a reaction of disgust. He did not want to go to Nineveh. He did not want to utilize his talents to help the city that was disgusting and revolting to him. It was the symbol of chaos to Jonah, right? Yeah, and God tells him, go to the city of Nineveh to call the people to repentance, or else I will destroy it, which suggests, right, that the city of Nineveh, since it was devolving into chaos, would really just destroy itself. And that's what happens in a community, in a culture, in a society that devolves into chaos. It destroys itself from within, because the people lose trust for each other. And when there's no longer the currency of trust, the community collapses. So the city of Nineveh was going to be destroyed from itself if it was not called to repentance, which was to return to, right, a state of order of some level, right? And so Jonah's job, he's called, his calling, his purpose, as it's put out in front of him. You have the gift, but how are you using it? And that's a timeless truth to all of us. We all have gifts, and it's a matter of understanding what are your gifts, what are your talents, and how are you utilizing them for the benefit of others. Because if you just sit around and you use your gifts for whatever, your own selfish gain, as we see Jonah kind of like running away, we'll see in a moment, right? It's of no benefit, and you will find no fulfillment. And ultimately, your life becomes meaningless because you are not using your gifts and talents with meaning, which is really how are they impacting others. So Jonah is called to go and impact those who need his gifts and talents, and he refuses, because the last thing he wants to do is go and be uncomfortable, which is also another piece of this that's timelessly true to all of us, is your calling, which is the utilization of your gifts in your person to serve others, is going to be uncomfortable and challenging to you. It is going to call you to the darkest places, right, within yourself, ultimately. So Nineveh was the darkest place that he did not want to go to. So he resists and he runs. He avoids his calling, and he runs, and he goes to the dock, to the port, finds a ship that's sailing anywhere else, right? And he's going to run. He's going to run from his calling. He's going to run from God. And what happens is he gets on the ship, and what? He's sitting around under the deck. I mean, it's a classic story of just being rather useless, honestly, right? He's got gifts and talents, and he's just not utilizing them. He's just decided he'd rather go be without responsibility, without meaning, just sitting under the deck, hanging out, waiting to kind of get dropped off somewhere, and do what? Right? So he's avoiding his calling. He's avoiding his purpose. And so they're setting out on the ocean, which is interesting, right? Because the ocean is very much the symbol of chaos. It's also a symbol of life. We're setting sail on the sea of life, and it goes in a moment from placid and calm to the storm that's life-threatening. And the storm is a manifestation of chaos. It is, and so they're out at sea, they're on the ship, and the storm comes. And it's terrible, and it's threatening the ship. It's threatening all those on board the ship with death, right? And so they're trying to throw stuff off, lighten the load, get ready to survive this thing, and it's just not working. Their ship is getting tossed around, and Jonah is convicted in his heart because he knows that the reason for the storm is because he's avoiding what he's meant to be doing. And that's a time, again, this timeless truth that I'm calling out for all of us now is just you have the choice to go confront chaos head on or to run from it, and it will pursue you. And that's exactly what happens for Jonah. He avoids going to Nineveh, the symbol of chaos for him, right? The symbol of darkness, where he did not want to go, the place that was challenging to him. He was going to flee his challenge, and his challenge pursued him. So then he was the hunted, not the hunter. And we all have that choice in our life. Are you going to go and confront the chaos in your life head on and rise to the challenge, rise to the occasion, or will you flee from it and go live a meaningless, irresponsible life and be hunted by it? And so he's hunted by chaos. The storm of chaos arises on the ocean and threatens to consume him and all those with him. So he goes and he tells them, look, it's my fault. I'm fleeing God. I'm fleeing my purpose. I'm fleeing my destiny. And so it's pursuing me, right? Because it's unavoidable on some level. Pain, chaos, threat, challenge, right? So he tells them, you need to throw me overboard. They don't want to, right? We could get more into, it's an interesting point. They're men of honor, and they don't want to toss him overboard, but they do, because he tells them, you have to, or else the ship's going to sink. So they toss him overboard, right? And we know then he's swallowed by the sea serpent, which again is another incredible image of chaos. It's that which rises from the depths, that which is completely unknown to swallow Jonah. And we don't know what it is. Again, what's the factual correctness here? It says he's swallowed by a whale. God sends a big fish. What is it? A sea monster? Something that swallowed him. And again, the imagery, the truth for us is that he's swallowed in. He has to come face to face with his own chaos, and he has to sit in the belly of the whale, sit in the belly of the beast for 3 days, which is coming to terms with himself. Sitting in it, being present to it, right? And on some level, owning it. And that's the powerful thing, is when you look at, really the story is he spends 3 days and 3 nights in prayer in the belly of the beast. And what he comes to is this recognition that he's no longer looking for, gee, I'm a victim, please get me out of here. But he realizes this is my worthy punishment. And that's a powerful threshold that Jonah crosses in his journey, is that he owns that the belly of the whale was his rightful lot for avoiding his calling, right? For fleeing his destiny. And so it was the natural course that he should be consumed by chaos, because he had put himself into chaos by not pursuing his purpose, and he had to come to terms with it. Right, and be dragged down into the depths, which is also the depths of our own heart. And so the monster that surfaces is oftentimes within us ourselves, right? It's the subconscious. It's the depths of our own being that are so unknown to us, like the ocean. And sometimes we'll burst into storm, right? And we all experience that when something triggers you and you have this emotional outburst, and it feels like, well, you went from, all of a sudden you went from kind of calm and placid to the storm, and you don't even know how. It feels outside of your own control. And the monster comes up from within you to almost swallow you, almost devour you. And until you come to terms with who you are, that is a part of you, you will always be the victim of it. You will always be hunted by it. And that, again, was Jonah's choice. Go out and face it, right? Step into it willingly, or be pursued by it. And he was pursued by it. But the purpose was never so that he could be destroyed, but rather so that he could transcend it, so that he could become greater than it. And that's what the process in the belly of the whale, the lesson that he learns is to own it, right? Is to understand that it is no longer the victim of his life, but he is owning that, yes, he's created his situation. And that's a powerful and timeless truth for all of us, is that we are the active creators of our life. And the situations that we find ourselves in, when you can take ownership for them, you become greater than them. And what happens is the whale, the monster, spits him out, right? When he comes to that place of ownership and accountability for his life as his own creation, as being in the belly of chaos, as his own responsibility, and no longer blaming the outside world, no longer blaming God or whatever else, right? Circumstances, culture, society, the president, a pandemic, whatever it is, but rather coming inward and owning and taking accountability and recognizing that our life is our own creation. His life was his creation. He had placed himself in the position to be swallowed by the whale because he was avoiding that which he was meant to be doing, and rather pursuing a life that's just without responsibility. It's meaningless. And in that vacuum, chaos comes in, right? It's kind of like Simba in The Lion King when he's living with Timon and Pumbaa, and he just has this life without any responsibility. He has everything. He's living in this paradise, but he's just worthless. His life has no meaning. And meanwhile, his home is being devoured and consumed in darkness, right, by Scar and the hyenas, right? So all these tales that have a timeless truth, whether they are true, again, what's your definition of truth? Are we talking about factual correctness, or are we talking about that which resonates and has meaning to your own soul and meaning to your life? And so what's the meaning of life? It's when you step into the meaning of your life, which is directly what you create for it. Everyone's life has a different meaning, and it's your job to pursue your purpose. So we're going to stop here, and we'll pick back up, break this up a little bit to go into part 2 after Jonah exits the whale, right after he's gone through kind of the Hades, this purification process of ownership, that his life is his making, and he has placed himself in the situation and has to confront that, has to take ownership of that by avoiding the pursuit of his purpose, which is challenging, chaos pursues him. So either you face chaos head on or chaos hunts you. And that's the ultimate choice for all of us. And that's what I just want to leave you with to contemplate is, are you pursuing your purpose? Are you stepping out to face challenge? Are you leaning into what is painful to find yourself more meaningfully? Or are you fleeing from that which is challenging, which is ultimately your purpose, because it is the very thing that you do not want to face on some level, that is going to call you to that next level of existence, of meaning, of fulfillment, of passion and purpose. So if you're looking for more of that in your life, well, I suggest that you start to look at what are you avoiding, right? Because the very things that you are avoiding, as Jonah was avoiding Nineveh, are the very guide to what is your next level, are the very guide to what you are meant to be doing. And as long as you avoid that, you will be hunted, gnawed at, right, by the storms of chaos that arise out of the ocean of our own subconscious and the monsters that lurk down there that we have no comprehension of. And that's what a monster is. It's something that's completely misunderstood or unknown and freakish, right? I mean, it's something that goes beyond the known. And that's very, very scary to our human psyche, to our mind. Biologically, just inescapable fact that the unknown terrifies us. Right. And so we depict monsters very much in these ways that are a creature that is unknown because they don't exist in reality. Again, are they true? Yes. But are they factually correct? Well, we don't have any dragons because there is nothing, or sea monsters or whatnot that we know of. But it's this unknown idea of the whale, the giant fish. What is it? We don't know. It's the unknown. It's that which surfaces out of the subconscious, out of the ocean, that goes from placid, where you feel calm, you feel okay, and then all of a sudden you're just this storm of uncontrollable emotion that threatens to swallow not only you, but all those around you, all those who you might find yourself suddenly feeling responsible for, because they become the victim of your own emotional storms. So it's your job to confront it at the root of what it is and recognize, take ownership that you have created your life for what it is, right? And then Jonah's ready to take on the next phase of his journey, and we'll get to that where he actually goes to Nineveh and the story of the vine, etc. So that'll be fun. Next week, we'll see if I have better pictures to go along with that one. Probably not. But yeah, thanks for joining me on this one. So again, final thought, second final recap, as is my way, right? But what's your purpose? Are you pursuing your purpose, or are you rather being pursued by it, right? I say that if you're not pursuing your dream, the ghost of your dream is going to haunt you. And Jonah is a powerful example of that. The dream is your calling. The dream is your purpose. It's that which is deep within your heart that you desire, that almost feels, but is also very challenging, right? And so when Jonah avoids the dream, the ghost of the dream haunts him. The monster, the chaos, it pursues him. It haunts him. And there's no escape, ultimately, because wherever Jonah goes, he cannot escape himself. And that's the timeless truth. He's on the ocean of life, which is us. We are in the ocean of our own being, of our own emotion, which is the ocean, which we do not understand. We can start to temper and start to control, but the deeper down you go, the more monsters you must face. But when you face those monsters, you begin to step into the fullness of your own life, and you begin to understand yourself at a deeper level, which also just exponentially increases your confidence and your self-awareness and ultimately your fulfillment when you are in pursuit of that which is your purpose, which is your calling, right? But it's also challenging. But life is difficult. Life is inherently full of pain, challenge, and difficulty. So it's good to have a life. We must find meaning. Otherwise, that pain and that difficulty is inherently meaningless. So what is the meaning of life? It is the meaning that you give it. And you find that meaning when you apply yourself to the pursuit of something that is greater than yourself. So like Jonah, if we flee from that and say, no, I don't want to go to Nineveh. I don't like those people. It's too chaotic. It's too uncomfortable. They will just be haunted by chaos. So what are you doing? What is your passion? What is your purpose? Are you leaning into the challenge, or are you letting it chase you? If you want to dive into that deeper, reach out to me. It's my passion to help men step into their passion, their fulfillment, and their purpose so that they can live a life that is uplifting, go from aimless and bored to an inspired leader who uplifts those around them, right? Reach out to me anytime. Happy to connect, have that conversation. Thanks for watching this one. See you for part 2 next week or sooner.